variations in the Bagamano is a live then I'm trying to freestyle.
Then katukoge no kunti makao katono yoro.
Like this.
So
I don't know why you have a cape. No.
We should be very safe.
Yeah, you have to be safe. I remember when I was in school, when we're doing marketing and sales and marketing, so you have to do the branding. And since today we're supposed to talk about African fashion, so I'd say to embrace it all. That is something I picked from the previous event that took place in Denmark. On Mother's Day. Yeah, I was so astonished by the presentation that Denmark people had. And I'm glad to inform our Euroforum viewers who are here today that we have Mr. Kalyango Mosa, the man himself who was part of the show, like who was part of the preparations. He's going to talk about himself, because I know he was in the planning and coming together with the fabrics and putting out a great show that I personally, the years I've been in Sweden or in Europe, I have not seen something like that. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, all our viewers from wherever you're watching from. It's Euroforum once again, and I'm your host, Jolene Nasali, right here from Sweden. With me, I have my co-host, Mr. Smogi. Salamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, and I have Mr. Kalyango Musa, Omganda Gamba, Sansokula Wasebo. We are so blessed to have you here today, because I feel at home having you here, because Africa, like, you just put out something that really, really made me feel at home. Like, I can walk like this on the streets of Denmark, in Copenhagen, and I think people already know who I am, why I'm doing this. I mean, it's just been a week when you out showcased a bunch of very beautiful fabrics together, very beautiful designs, and I think we are proud of you, as me speaking for Euroforum, UG followers and viewers and my bosses, and we are proud of the fact that you chose Africa fabrics, Africa trend, Africa design, the African queens, and you put them there out. It's like, we feel embraced. I feel embraced, like Africa, the culture, we have to uphold it. And I would want you to take us through, who is Mr. Kalyango? Brief, like, who is Mr. Kalyango? Why, of all the people, of all the things, the events that are happening around Europe, for you chose a theme that has to be African, and basically you took out fabrics. So can you give us a brief summary, and then you're going to give my co-host credit on the fashion he's putting on today. I don't think I'm offending him, but you're going to give us results on his fashion and my fashion.
Thank you, the host, Michala Naseli, Jorin, and the co-host,
you're welcome,
Mwami Smogi, Reni. I already know you here from Denmark. We are residing in a very small city, because Denmark is such a small country that, you know, everyone knows everyone, unless you decide not to be known. Now, coming back on the issue of introductions, as you said, my name is Musa Sasira Kalyango. Muganda Yedirengo. I'm blessed with 5 beautiful young men, and I only have boys. So I'm 51 years. I'm a medical assistant by profession. Yeah, and that's me. Now the question is, how did I come to choose African fabric or fashion
but before you go, Mr. Kalyango, before you go in, I feel you're leaving out something.
Please remind me.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to chip in and then ashame this gentleman here by giving him more profile, which he's trying to hide. Behind the Euro Forum tournament, I mean, behind, the Euro tournament, is the man also behind the Uganda Cranes in the management. And besides that, he is a community leader here in the Ugandan community, not only Ugandan, but also a consultant in areas where African community at times joins. Another thing about this gentleman here is trying to hide. He's a man who has been really doing a lot when it comes to entertainment in mostly in the African society here. Some of us, without him, probably wouldn't have been known in the entertainment environment, or even maybe showcasing everywhere, maybe as we're talking. So these are the men who put a bridge for us to move. I'm privileged, Mr. Kalyango, to have you here, and I'm sorry to unleash the hidden profile.
The pleasure is all mine, Sebo, As you said, normally it's always nice to keep a low profile and then let the good work speak for itself.
True.
Now, as you said, of course, I am the man behind all these attributes that I've done. I'm also a football coach, which I've also been. I started football here, besides playing football back home in Naibro most of the time, Kakendo, Naiti, a little bit. I also came here and continued with football, if I may talk on behalf of that as well. I've been coaching football for the last 23 years. I coached in Espagea, and then I progressed to elite football, where I'm also focused in the elite with a lot of focus on coordination, physical stabilities, and technical skills in the football area. But since this forum, today I'm being hosted on matters concerning fashion show. That's why I didn't want to go deep into the other aspects that whatever I'm also doing, because I may be having a lot of ngawe tukaita nkofira. So show a limited certain time part of the time so to kugenda more areas and zonna zenkola. Naye, as we normally say, I tend to work with everyone who is willing to work. When you see the sunshine doesn't benefit from itself, or rather when you look at a tree, trees don't benefit from the fruits that they get, neither do they benefit from the shade that it contributes. But it, on the other hand, and I think this is what we have to do as Africans, try to join hands and help one another and try to achieve each goal that we can see where there is potential. As Smokey said, I've worked along African culture, I've been in entertainment. I worked with a friend of mine, Peter Ntende, we worked in bringing these musicians all the way kuva Bebe Cool, Bobby, in Denmark. I've always been the man behind all the work that is supposed to be done. arrangements, what and so on. So this time around, we organized this African fashion show with a lady from West Africa, Limatu. This lady, people would ask, why work with someone from West Africa? As I said, our job is to benefit one another, to uplift one another other than pulling one another down. True. And when we walk in the shades of Denmark, when people look at me as a Black man, they do not really know where I come from. So sometimes, febe nyine aba Africa, meeting we try to demarcate ourselves. Goli muna Uganda neyati from atobo malo kubera muna Uganda ati nobeera mu Kyotala, nobeera Mulango, nobeera Muganda, nobeera whatever. So personally, I don't look at the differences where we come from. I look at, do we have an idea? Can we progress from here? And this time around, we looked at the African. We looked at fashion show. Why fashion show? If that could be the question. Africa is becoming such a big, powerful force in the global fashion industry, But somehow, our job, or my job, was to see how do we jump onto this trend that is going on? How do we become part of this? Benefiting, but who knows? My children, some of them are doing marketing. Probably they will be the beneficiaries of this that I'm starting on right now. So my own country, Uganda, we are very far away when it comes to fashion show. As Ugandans, we tend to copy so much, to be any other thing besides African. Now, when I look at a Ugandan, the more eloquent you are in English, the more people praise you, So it's like we are just copying and copying and copying. We want to be more English. We want to speak very eloquent. We want to be very fluent in English. We want, and we are forgetting our culture. So before we go any further, what is it not? Why am I not working with Ugandans? Is because I realize that Ugandans that's why it's like kati bwe ndaba nga Eurovision eno engeri gyezzeemu okuba nti etuleeta wamu, okuba nti etulaga kiki ekiganya okuba nga tutambula, tunasala magezi ki okuba nga tutambula. So nsanyuse nnyo okuba nti you're hosting me today, and we are going to be talking about all these journeys. How can we get there? What is it remaining? What is remaining? What is it hindering us from progressing? Now, if I may continue, Africa has some great names of people who have done really good in the fashion industry. You can look at people like Tembe Magungu, people like Mahosa, Imene Aise, Orange Culture, the Kenneth Inzi, this Sika. These are people who have really benefited a lot in the industry of fashion show. But personally, when I look at someone, the one who was really, like Asinzo Kubanti Avayo of all these people, I would say it's Imani, I said. He's a Cameroonian guy who had dreams in becoming a ballet dancer. He even went to the ballet school in Cameroon. And when this didn't work out, then he went into modeling. From modeling, joining the two cultures, the Cameroonian and the French. So from this, he's doing pieces. His pieces appear very paradoxical, combining two unlikely pieces, colors of the French and the Cameroonian. So katife ewaffe bodda ye ewaffe mu Africa n'obuuza Munnayuganda nti ngoye ki eziyinza okuzuula gwe nga Munnayuganda. Bwe tujja e Bulaaya kati weesanga nti twagala nnyo okwambala amasuuti, twagala nnyo okwambala eggoma zitwazidibya, bw'oyambala olubugo nti olwo sitaani, ebintu ebyaffe tugenda tubidibya okutwaliza awamu. Kyenagambye nti kyendaba mu Uganda tugezaako nnyo okukoppa ne twesiba ku bazungu. So nga bano bannaffe aba West Africa bo basigaddeyo nnyo ku nnono zaabwe n'okupromotinga colors zaabwe. Kiraba y'ensonga lwaki olaba nti bo batuyiseeko nnyo. Otunuulira abantu bonna abagenze nga babenefitinga. Kati waliwo omuwala bamuyita Alwahia. Alwahia, she's a Nigerian, half Nigerian and half Indian. So she combines both heritage from the two different cultures. Now we tumanye nti the Indians are so good in colors, whereas the Africans are also good in colors. But her brand is really actually making big waves in the fashion industry. She has masters in menswear, and that alone, cham pushing okubancha asobola okufuna award, yafuna prestigious award of H&M in 2020. Njagala nkubuulire nti award ye yamupushing okubancha she's among the 30 under 30 on the EU market. And that is the goal now. And today we may be suffering and trying to make ends meet. Niyo muntu wakubuuza nti what is the biggest goal? The biggest goal is to have a small piece in H&M, for example. Then you kasita oyingira ku H&M oba omanya nti akatale ka Europe okayingiddeko. Wakati ebintu byonna byonna bye tukola, as long as tebigenda tupushinga mu maaso, we are not going to benefit. Alina nkyala okulowooza nti guno omusala gwe tukola omwezi teguyinza tufuula bagagga. Never. So unless we try to find ways how we go about this, okuba nti twongerako guno omusaala guyingira ne gugwera mu kusasula bizimbe, house rent, motoka, biki ogenda okozesa na toyinaawo. So until then, the only way to go, I think, fashion industry is the biggest way. Kubanga abantu ffenna twambala. We want to put on clothes, and our clothing actually is African clothes. When I said our clothing, I mean the African attire is becoming more trendy because abantu tebakyacha nnyo kwambala, colorful materials. People love that, and that's where we are, and that's where we have to be closer to. How do we benefit on this bigger market? So it's a bit kind of a 1VM introduction. Yeah.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Kalyango. Actually, you are hitting so hard because I am a Ugandan and I'm guilty of the fact that you mentioned that we try to I think the English word would be mutate. Like we mutate into the Western culture. We start acting like them. Yeah, it is okay to be you. It is very okay to be you. One thing I realized with these people in Europe, they love us because of, as long as you accept you're African, and then you try to give them what you value most. Why am I saying that? There is a kitengi on my head right now, and I have an experience. During Christmas, I wanted to dress up like African, but I didn't have any fabric. Like I had never carried any fabric here. So one of my friends, she's a 68-year-old woman. She's my friend. She had this. And she told me, yeah, I have an African fabric. Like my friend gave it to me. My friend from, I think, West Africa gave it to her. So she gave it to me. Why am I saying that? Yeah, you were saying it from the right perspective, that we Ugandans, we've tried to escape our originality. Just as I told you, like Smoggy right now, he's putting on a cap on a kitenge. Mr. Smoggy, what is fashion to you? What is African fashion to you? If I may ask.
What a question, interesting. But before I answer that, would you accept me to ask one little question? Then I'll come back to the same question to Mr.
Yeah.
Let him run us through what really happened. Or else, maybe let me first answer that. Fashion,
yeah,
really,
that's where I was going.
Okay, fashion really doesn't matter. It depends on how you look at it. And to me, when I look at fashion, it's something very wide, but in reality, it has, I mean, the way you portray yourself, I think it would be a fashion. How you like to be, how you like for example, I may be having this outfit and I may give you the right outfit and then you cut it and make a sleeveless out of it. You're making your own fashion out of it. So I think fashion is something I would say is, I would not give a definition, but I'm trying to now to relate it to how you feel about it, because ask me what you feel. So talking about the cape, why I'm putting it on, I'm this kind of person who believes that culture evolves, so is fashion. Way back in the African mentality, if you ask what is the originality of the African wear, no one will give you the right originality, because we differ. The Africans in the North, their kind of fashion and origin is totally different because they have the Arab element. When we go to our brothers down in the south of Africa, they have something different. They still have a different wear. West Africa has a different way. But when you come back to, when I'm talking about evolution of culture, I can't leave out wear, fashion, and designs in this Africa now, because now we're looking at the aspect of African wear. When you see back now should be the 16th century, when the explorers came, we had our own, but they came up with something else, which they added on ours. Cotton growing wasn't an issue. Now you see how we started evolving and using now the fabric of cotton. We started using, the palm fiber, the palm fabric. So basically, evolution of culture and fashion has also changed the way we look at issues of our fashion and how we set up. So right now, I'm putting on what we call a contemporary design, where I can fuse different cultures, because even the African culture, the African wear, is also a fusion of different cultures. When you look at the people in the north of Africa, they have the Arab part of it, where they pick their designs. I don't know whether we're on the same track. Let's go now to we have now this, I think they call it batik, which is the wax, kiteng. I don't know whether you know them, those wax. That wax doesn't originate from Africa. It comes from somewhere else. It comes from Indonesia, originally.
So in brief,
what I'm trying to mean, what I'm putting on is a passion and a contemporary way of how to evolve, but don't kill who you are, but try to adapt. Because if you don't accept change, change will change you. But at least have that originality in you, which Mr. Musa was saying that we are losing track, killing our originality, much as we're trying to be in Europe. Because also Europe has got its demands, but don't kill originality. Back to you, Nyab.
Okay, thank you. Actually, what you've just been explaining is like you're trying to be an Afropean. You're trying to embrace the European style and add it together with the African style. Thank you very much. Mr. Kalyango, can you take us through, just tell us what really happened? Just take us through in briefs.
Now, before I jump on to what happened and how it happened, allow me just chip on what you guys are talking about. Now, there's a fashionist, a designer called Mahosa from South Africa. What he does, the man behind this, he has a piece called Mahosa, but the man behind is called Nduma Sokolo. What I love about this guy is like he took the beads, the beads and the hair and the wool from the South African materials that we know from their culture, clothes, And that's what he's working with. You know, he tries to take the contemporary part of it and try to just, you know, keep on just, you know, progressing with it, working with it, just like what Smog is saying, that, you know, the word fashion can be defined in so many ways, depending on what makes you relax, what makes you, defines you as a person. It goes beyond just the looks to the personality. Because whatever the case, you do not have to lose your personality as someone who is, you know, designing. Because if someone tells you today to describe who Kalyango is, you're going to say this is someone with beards, gray hair, what and so on, before you even look at something, because this is who I am as a person. So that was just that, and allow me to take you back to what happened and how it happened. Now, this African fashion show, actually, this is our sixth time. This is the 6th year. This is not the first time we were doing it. We started the fashion show way back in 6 years ago, and we were doing it in Helsingør town. Helsingør is a small city, smaller than Copenhagen. Copenhagen is the capital city. So it's like the 3rd or 4th city of Denmark. We're in the northern part of it. And we worked with the local community. We got some sponsors around here, and we brought some designers all the way from West Africa in Cote d'Ivoire. But just to show you, did something happen?
No.
No, it's okay. You can continue.
Continue.
Yeah. Now, as I said, just to show you what was happening, that sometimes it can really be very difficult. We brought designers from West Africa, and when this person came here, the designers that we had brought, guess what? Some other people within the community told this person that, hey, look, these people got a lot of money in your name. You are the designer. You are the head of everything. Guess what? We almost ended up in court, because this is how Africans are. So the question is, who is killing the African? We are the very people who are killing one another. We ended up, this guy was opening up a case against us, saying that we had a lot of money, we got sponsors. And so what I'm trying to tell you is the journey has not been so easy as you may see it today, benefiting being in one of the best places in Denmark, bringing up this. The journey has always been long. It was long. We had suffered a lot reaching where we are today. We've had losses. We can't even, you know, that will be another case to talk about all the details of what happened and how it happened. Just this time around, when we got this date, which was supposed on the matter date, I had already forgotten. I'd really forgotten all about it, that it was a Ugandan Matters Day. So in my preparation, I always invite the Ugandan embassy. All the 6 years I've always been inviting them and other embassies around. And to my dismay, when I invited the Ugandan embassy, they said, how comes you could not remember that this was the Matters Day? We are not coming. I was like, oh my goodness. And as Smoggy said, I'm a leader in the community. I'm still the acting Ugandan chairman of the Ugandan, we have an organization here in Denmark, and I'm still the acting chairman, Faces of Uganda. So I was really caught up in two heads. These are two children that I've always been announcing all the way from day one to today. I could not give up one or the other, but then again here, there's also some money aspect that is also involved. So I had to choose to be here. And good enough, some friends, when they finished over there, they also came and joined me. So it was really hard putting this together. But again, I had got another location, which actually was even cheaper than this one here. 2 weeks prior to the date, the guy called me and said, you know what, we've sold the location. So we are not, the function is not going to take place there. At that time, I already had the artists who are coming. One was from US, one from Burundi, one from Rwanda. We had the designers who are coming all the way from France. They have already booked their tickets and everything. They're already coming. And this guy calls me and say, you know, they terminated my contract, so I'm no longer hosting you. So within a short notice, we had to find another location, which was even much expensive, but good enough. It was available. It was the best place you can think of. So these are some of the problems that we are facing in Europe at the moment. Unless we come together and you, for example, Euroforum, you need to have a bigger location somewhere where we can come and have all these events being hosted. You know, that will save us a lot of problem, you know, dealing with the people who are not serious, dealing with people who are just like conning us, con men, what and so on. So the problems are so many when you are, you know, dealing with such big occasions. But good enough, I really thank everyone who managed to come and, you know, make this a reality, because the work is really big. Is really big being behind such a big event, having so many artists from all the way from different places. And the only thing I may say, the only dismay I had, being a Ugandan, I did not have anything to present Uganda, because my goal is today that I need to work with someone who can modify the Gomez, because Gomez to me is a winter clothing, you know, being so warm with so many pieces on it, the inner side, the outer side, and then this big, huge cloth that comes on
the stones.
Yeah,
yes,
it's that's a winter cloth. But if someone can modify it for the weathers of the summer, because this is when people are putting on clothing that are with nice colors. You know, that's my goal, to work with the Gomas, but the Gomas has to be in a summer modified fashion. And then the Mushanana, also to put it out there, because my goal is next time to find a Ugandan designer who can make for me something like a Mushanana, and then make a Gomas in the African, in the summer attire, you know, where you don't need so many pieces, but we still keep the heritage. And then when at one time I talked with a Ugandan who was working with the Rubugo, making some good jackets. I saw him once, it's like 4 years ago, I think, something like that. So if I get in contact with these guys, and then we can work on the Ugandan pieces, and we promote them, because my goal is how do we chip in and get the big cake of H&M or other bigger, you know, bigger designers, because that's the only way, that's the way forward. And we can only promote one another if we have all these people with us. So someone who can work with Olubugo in a better transformed way, because I saw someone at the time, he was in German, and he had made Olubugo in very many different places. You could get it in bags, you could get it in jackets and what and so on. So already that is the transformation there. I think that's something to do, but also need it in a summer attire. We need it also in linen form, kind of, where you can even put it like, you know, something easy, and, you know, you can put it in every now and then.
Yeah, you can make linen shorts from Lubugo for the summer vibes, and the small bukois like this for like bukoi dresses for the ladies, very free bukoi round dresses.
Yeah, and actually one of the points that I noted out, there was someone who made what he called, in his observation, it was a negative impact, because he said, how do you call this to be African fashion when people are almost walking naked? And to me, I was almost like, excuse me, I did not answer, but if I may answer today, he may be watching. What we call dressing up can be defined in many different ways. Today, if you go to the Karamojong, they never draw, their ways of dressing was nakedness. If they are praising that as part of their culture, you're not going to tell me that's not a culture because you're not dressing. Hello, if I only dress covering my private part here or my back, and I put that as my culture, welcome to my culture. You know, it doesn't justify the fact that you have to enforce your culture onto me, that my culture tells me to cover every part of me. because you're an Arab and expect me to dress the same to be valid as someone who is dressing. You know, dressing differs according to the cultures and norms, because some of the African culture, we only cover the front part. And we've seen that. We've seen the kings of Zulu, you know, when they dress in the culture, in the cultural heritage, they dress almost nothing. But that's their culture. And we are talking about African culture. We're talking about African fashion. You know, this is where we have to come and, you know, defend our own ways of dressing, defend our own goals, and, you know, what culture is all about, what fashion is all about. We define our own. It's time now to come and stand and tell people this is what we believe in, this is what our ancestors did.
Actually, Mr. Kalyango, I would love to chip in a little bit. When it comes to fashion, it's more of something connected to self-expression. For as long as you can express yourself in what you're putting on, that's really what we can look at as culture.
Exactly.
But when it comes now to the African wear, I mean, the way we express ourselves is actually our own. You talked about the Gomesi the Gomesi. Yes, originality, you might, like when I was trying to talk about the evolution of fashion or maybe wear, also Gomesi didn't originate from Uganda.
No.
You know, we had our Lubugo, and then later it came in a way that there was a headmistress from Gayaza. She was called Helen something. I'm forgetting the right name, but she was called Helen. And then she felt there was need to change the outfit for the girls, because when you look at the outfits we're having, we have to look at their purpose. These were young girls. You could not just give Olubugo. It was quite heavy as compared to the purpose and its function, basically. So she asked some Indian designer, it was called Gomas or something. And then he's the one who later went and then looked at how to redesign that busuti of the ladies, the one we call Gomasi. And later it was just unleashed in the colonial time that it came in and we embraced it. So the outfits we're having, basically, they have to be more purposeful. There should be a reason as why we put on certain outfits. But still, Mr. Kalyango, in nutshell, drive us through exactly what really happened, because I was telling people I was there, but I felt you're the right person to give us a nutshell briefly. Let me just maybe ask you a little bit. Who was the guest of honor? Because I saw a lot of people, but I wasn't certain. Then by coincidence, I saw the Miss Togo. Were you showcasing Togo designs?
Or a Togo brand? Or
Togo brand.
Why was she the sponsor?
Because also on the flyer, I could see there was a Togo something, and then I happened to see Miss Togo on that day.
No, the guest, we did not really work on the guest of honor, but we had the Togolese ambassador. The Togolese ambassador was around, so but we did not, like, you know, last year, the previous year, we have always been inviting all embassies. So in that sense, we had like a guest of honor. But this time around, as you could see the arrangement, we didn't even want to have high tables. Because the difference in fashion show compared to other occasions, when you put people seated on high tables, then you need to supply them, then they have to sit in circles. And when you sit on circles, it's like you're having, some may sit with the back to the runway. We needed everyone to face the runway. So we needed to uplift the standard of the high of the runway. So in that way, no one was above the other. But we left the tables separately if someone wanted to. Now, we had various, as you saw, it took time. We almost finished very late because we had so many designers. We were so lucky.
Where did these designers come from?
Yeah, that's what I'm coming to. We had designers I had one from Togo. We had one from Elfenbeincost. We had one from Nigeria. We had one from Cameroon, and we had, we had another one. Yeah, there were four designers, and then we had the one from France as well. We had one from France, but the one who brought also, the one from France is the one who, and the Belgium, there were 7. Now, the one from France and Belgium, the one from the Belgium is the president of the fashion show in Europe. So he brought a collection of his, and then all the others, each of them brought a collection. And that's why it took so many. Because in most cases, we have like 2 or 1, in most cases, like 2 or 1 designer having a show. And that's why it takes approximately 1 to 2 hours. But this one took many hours, in that we had so many and everyone had to present his piece collection. So that's how it worked. We collected people who are willing to show their fashions to the world. We presented the platform for them to come and present. Because as you said, it has never happened here in Denmark. It is always in France and Belgium where you see this African fashion show. And it's always on a very high level. That in most cases, the local people, we don't tend to attend such occasions because it's so expensive. But we were so delighted that these people like Steven, the guy you saw, the one who was there, is a very well-renowned, world-renowned designer. But he said, I'm coming. Hiring someone like Steven, as I told you, it requires 4,000 euros just to be there for the 2 hours. But he said, I'm coming and I'm going to do it for free. So he came. All we did was the accommodation. We gave them the accommodation. And all the designers I got from France, they all came for free. They did not charge me anything. All they did was the accommodation and feeding. And that's all we paid this time around. So we did not spend so much money on so many different, all those people you saw. They were just willing to work.
What about the models also?
Excuse me?
The models you had, were they from Uganda? I mean, from Denmark here?
No, there were only two from Denmark.
Yeah.
And these are the models that I've been working with all along from the previous years, some of them, the 2 there.
So the rest,
but most of them were all from Belgium and France.
Wow.
And they chipped in themselves.
Okay.
So all I did was the accommodation. We got them the accommodation. So that was the only thing we did. So it was successful and less expenses compared to the previous years.
Oh.
So
Okay.
Great.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalyango. You've really taken us through exactly what really happened.
Pleasure.
And to our viewers who have just joined us today, we are exploring African fashion and designs, based on the event that took place in Denmark last week, which, as we've heard from Mr. Kalyango, it was a success, though it has opened up our ears, and it's like we still miss out a lot. As we Afropeans who are already here, there is a lot to do, because as we hear from him, it is a lot of things that he just got from outside here. And if we can come together, probably we can cut down on the costs and the hardships that the Mr. Kalyango and his team went through to put up such a great show. With me, I have our followers here that are checking on us. Mr. Abu Matovo, he's saying Assalamu alaikum. I think that was at the beginning of the show. Where, then we have our own Mr. Frederick Casilier is saying about the Rubugo, I have a good shoe made of that. The problem is the sentiment attached to it is from back home. So I think he was sharing his view about when you said the fabrics that you want to share, you want to get some Ugandan fabrics and fashion and styles and try to make something out of it in the next show or event you'll have probably next year. Then we have Mr. Moses Mugisha. He's saying Assalamu alaikum, Sebo. Still, Mr. Frederick Asidia has said the issue is we need to think outside the norm. And I think that's a question we're going to talk about in our next session. Right now, we need to have a break.
Yeah, before we go ahead, Madam Jojo. Mr.
Yes.
Castillo talks about
Yes.
the Lubugo, and then he says the problem, the segment attached to it about the Zikambafu. Okay, yes, but away from that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, away from that, for me, I believe still with the evolution of technology, I think we have to dive deep and then seek certain questions. How best can we better our own Olubugo? How can we fuse it maybe with this contemporary fabric, not kill
Actually,
originality, and by the use of technology, then we maintain our own and we see how best we can
actually, Smogy,
so that we can be unique.
Smogy, I have a saying that I've taught myself that sometimes we have to learn, unlearn, and relearn some things. So we are not going to sit back and attach the sentiment. Yes, right now we have the Lubugo. I don't think even some of, like, the rich people are buried in very, very expensive things. So they are buried in white linen bed sheets. Are we going to drop the bed sheets because they are used like that? I think we should embrace the evolution that is taking place in the fashion industry, because I am very, very impressed with the way Mr. Kalyango has detailed everything. As West Africa, they've really upheld their culture through their fashion, their food. And I think East Africans, we are still a little bit behind, but the people from the other side, they're really doing it. However, probably most of their fabric probably they are also used in the other way, the weird way, but still they come and embrace them even here. So to me, I think we still need to embrace this industry, because we have our own Mr. Kalyango and the team who have put a lot of effort. The way he's explaining, they've put a lot of effort to bring this, and it was really great. I was impressed. And
anyway,
I'm very
thank
proud
you very
of the
much.
show.
I will thank you all for hosting. But the one thing I also wanted to mention was in regards to the gentleman who said that the Lubugo is used for burying. I think in that aspect, I may salute our ancestors for the knowledge they had.
Mr. Kalyango, can we have that after the break? Because we are setting up for a break. Thank you very much.
No, okay. design of African. Basically, it's a second session, and being privileged to start the show as a co-host. My co-host is just drinking some water. But all in all, we are available. It's a two-way traffic as we try to appreciate the beauty of fashion. Like I said, fashion is more of self-expression, and the beauty about the world we're living in is the indifference we have. So the more we embrace where people put on, actually, the more we try to exhibit beauty. And when it comes to the African wear, trust me, whenever I put on the African wear, we are more of celebrating our own heritage, and to also commemorate the beauty of our motherland. Mr. Musa Kalyango, we ended the session when you were trying to give us more of a leaflet of the Gomesi. And like I said, there's so much evolution when it comes to fashion, because if culture evolves, fashion is part of culture.
Yeah.
Gomez, Olubugo is part of our own. And you had something you're trying to dig in details, as asked by Madame Jojo. So if you can complete that, then we dive deep into our discussion. Ahead, please.
Thank you. As I was saying, big up to the old people, our ancestors, who realized that actually Olubugo has some technicalities, technical aspects, which can go in and absorb the water or the waste product from the crop. In that aspect, you remain intact as the body. When someone dies and is buried into Olubugo, I think the Olubugo has that, the quality of sucking up the whatever fluid is in the body, and then the body remains intact. We've witnessed that people who have been buried in Olubugo, unlike, for example, the Muslims or the Christians, if they bury them, because as a Muslim, we bury people in three pieces. And when someone dies, say, for example, I had my own great grandparent who was among those people who went to Mbali alongside Kakunguru, when Kakunguru was sent to go and become a leader in the Bugisu and teach them the culture values. This is another thing. But anyway, time came when we wanted to ship the corpse of my great-great-parent, grandfather, and bring it back to Buganda. And it so happened that there was almost nothing left. Whereas we also have other great parents who are being migrated from one area to another. When you migrate someone who was buried in Olubugo, you can still find them intact, almost. What that justifies, it justifies the fact that Olubugo has that the mechanism that it can absorb and drain from the corpse, leaving the corpse intact as it was. So Olubugo is not something that we can just play around with. It's a material that is really very useful, given the fact that it also comes from our culture.
Mr. Kalyango,
yes,
I'm sorry to chip in very fast, but for the viewers who are watching, you're talking about Olubugo. It may be sounding a name which is botanical to them. If you can give them, you can give them.
It is not something
the material originate from the fabric.
It is a tree called Omutuba. I don't know how it's called in English, but the tree is called Omutuba. You can Google it up.
Yeah.
And this tree has the stem of it. They stem it, and then they get out the leaf, and then they isolate the leaf out of it. That's the covering, and that is what, when they stem it again, it turns into the Olubugo, the back cloth. It is normally in brown in color. It's a very, very, very nice material that can come out of it. It looks almost like linen if it's modified. It has the ability to look like linen. And that was just a part of it. Olubugo, you can always, look at it out, check it out. Google is the best thing now. she has all the answers for so many other things. So
true. Yeah.
it has nothing to do with Hispanic.
Yeah, I was a little bit left hanging, actually with what you discussed. I'm seeing that, design actually reflects tradition, society, reflects status. People wear according to their status. And then designs all these wares sometimes also portray or reflect the function. For example, the Rubuko you've stated, it's really so much functional when away from way back when they were putting it on as a fabric, but also to the line of the dead, it has a function where it maintains our ancestors. That's what, the corpse, basically. That's what I would say. But away from that, there is, while you were talking about the Gomasi, I'm looking at the Gomasi. Actually, you've awakened us. We Ugandans mostly who are putting on the Gomasi. I always thought that maybe when you're putting it on, it's more like a winter cloth, not a summer thing. So my question comes in here. How has the seasons, for example, we, the Afropins, affecting the wear or the designs we put on?
You see, I remember the first time I went to Uganda with my Danish wife, it was way back in 1999. And at the time, I had lost my grandmother in Masaka, Ichiwanyi, Ajatikamina Kagere, those who knows her. Now, there was no way I was going to go to Masaka with a lady, a Muzungu, who was wearing pants. I told her, you know what? You like it or not, if you're attending my grandmother's funeral, you have to put on the gomes. That's the way out. I gave her two options. Either she had to put on the hijab or she had to put on the gomes. And she said, what is more culture between the two? Then she said, I told her the gomes is more culture. The hijab is more religious. He said, would you prefer me putting on what is? So I said, I would prefer you put on the gomes. Said, fine. Then she put on the gomes, and her first reaction was like, oh my goodness, this is too warm. First of all, the pieces, you have so many pieces. You have the chikoi, which has to go, you have the long, she had to put in the long pants. And then out of that, then she had to put on the chikoi. That's almost like, already there, you're almost like 150 degrees boiling inside. And on top of that, then you have to bring the gomes, tie it. You know how we do it. And then bring the sibiro on top of it. So at the end of the day, someone is working with 250 degrees in her body. To me, that's a winter clothing. The design was almost like not designed for someone who lives in the 30 to 40 degrees. We have a country that has a temperature that is between 30, or you call it 25 to 40 degrees, depending on the day, depending on the month. So having so many attires is way too much for someone to carry. So that's why I think that if we need to capture, if we need to jump on the European standard, if we look to jump on the big cake, then we have to modify our clothing to the fact that someone out there can go and buy it. We are looking about the Zungus and the what and so on, and the kids who are born and raised here. Now, take for example, all my kids have grown up here, and they would love to have something African, but at the same time, they want to, they want to embrace their Danish culture as well. So meeting something that is going to interjoin, that is the thing. I want her to feel very Ugandan, because like I have my son, if you Google him up, he calls himself Mr. Uganda, but he's as white as any other person because the mother is white. He's as white as chocolate as we normally see. But he calls himself Uganda. Now, Mr. Uganda, he would still want to put on something that identifies him as a Ugandan. But where do we meet? By modifying something that was, put into a different place and put it back, channel it back where it's supposed to be. We can still have the gomas the way we put it and so many clothing in winter, and then we have the gomas that's supposed to be very nice, covering, you know, feeling elegant, but it's still a summer clothing act part of it, because we need to meet all the weathers. Where do we meet according to the weather here? Because as you can see, in summer, you don't need so much clothing, but you still need to be elegant. You need to be presentable. You need to be, you know. So where do we meet in terms of designing? And that's the big question, and that's the big goal.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not something to put our culture down, but is with all due respect.
Wow. It's very interesting, and I love the way you submit. You're so informed, Mr. Kalyango. I really do appreciate.
Thank you.
Mrs. Nelson, do you feel the informed man when it comes to fabric? Unfortunately, our guest is busy embracing the European standard of wave dressing. I thought today was going to do wonders, but still he's also enslaved. Mr. Kalyango, you're welcome. This is Euroforum, where we discuss issues. Away from that, you talked about the Gomasi and some issue where you talked about standard.
Smugi.
Please.
Yeah, before we go further, can I get some information from Mr. Kalyango?
Yeah.
What are the popular clothing styles, African clothing styles, that we can bring to the market here? Because I'm asking for someone who is out there, probably has picked up a leaf in whatever we've discussed, has seen the loopholes that maybe she can provide solutions. What are some of the popular clothing styles that you think can compete on the market, on the European market?
Right now, if I'm supposed to, if I'm talking about the Eastern Central, the Mushanana goes out. Reason being that is as a summer clothing, because as you know, when we are targeting, we're looking at the summer, autumn and summer, because winter is almost left for black and warm things. People don't mind about design, but we can still chip in with our gomas as being a winter clothing. You know, we just need to find something else that can move around that areas. But if we're talking about summer, then we are looking at the Mushanana as being one of the things that is going to penetrate the market. If we're looking about, the Maasais,
the northern, even the northern,
their attire, you know, the way they dress is very nice and easy. You know,
Maasai, their outfit is called is it soka? Yeah. Soka outfit, yeah.
That one can always penetrate the market when it comes to warmth. So you have to look at the market and then look at the weather. Which weather are you targeting? You know, as you know, being in Scandinavian, that people in summer smile even to someone you can never even smile to, whereas in winter people walk as if they are being abused. You know, they're always like, you know, the faces.
An effect of the weather.
Yeah. So when you have a lot of dopamine just running into the body, and you know, you feel the smile. Just now, to cut the question short, we can always design our clothing according to the weather, and that's why you see that linen penetrated. Linen was almost being considered as Zairian. When I was growing up, I remember the Zairian, the Congolese people, all the musicians, the Kanda Bongo Man then and the Koffi Olomide, they all wore linen clothing. And myself, I had a lot of linen clothing growing up because that was the design then. So actually, personally, I grew up knowing that linen originated from Congo, was a Congolese wear. So anything that is closer to the weather will always be welcome if it's colorful. Because actually, this is the time now to jump onto the market, the EU market, given the fact that people are opening up in terms of colors, because people used to be hateful with colors, you know. And actually, we are known for that. Yes.
Also, to chip in with the same question, that which kind of outfits should we now try to export to Europe or maybe to the diaspora? I'll say that depends. Like I said, that, you know, African wear also depends or reflects society or status of someone. The rich have certain designs they have to put on. But on this question, basically, let's look at the function. Which kind of outfit suits a certain function? In line with what Mr. Kalyango has said about the seasons, there are certain outfits in Africa, they are very good, but they may not suit the environment. Talk about Greenland here in the upper side of Denmark. It's very cold. Certain outfits cannot work or come in. The Rwandese Mushanana, is it Mushanana, Mushanene? Yeah.
Mushanana. Yeah.
That one is shared in between Burundi, Rwanda, and part of Uganda. Yeah. It cannot work in a certain season. So it's a question where designers have to dive deep to understand the market we are going for. What suits, what designs should we make? Not to kill the originality of the Africans, but to embrace also their outfits. And then what should we cop up with them? What should we copy so that we fuse in properly and we sell our own? That's when it brings out the element of contemporary designers. They look at what is in Europe. Then they say, what else can, how best can an African designer fuse in here? What else can we add so that we don't kill the outfits that are European or the functional bit of it? Or how best can we improve if it's a Gomasi? How best can I improve it so that it doesn't have, a lot of, rolls, make it one, and then give it enough thickness so that it can suit the winter session. So the question is quite interesting and tricky, but it depends now on the designers to think best. How best can we sell this? Looking at the market, first of all, how many Africans are going to be, how many Africans are in Europe that really will need them? Because as a designer, we are looking at the commercial bit of it. You have to look also at the market.
Actually, Smogi, can I ask Mr. Kalyango? Mr. Kalyango, what is your take? Like, what is your advice? Basing on what Mr. Smogi is saying, that the designers, for you've worked with them, you've lived with them, you've had meetings with the designers, those who are already here, who are already doing it. So what would you tell someone out there who has seen this show, who has been following the fashion show you've been holding for the past 5 years? What do you think they have to do? Because they already know, but now our viewers may not be knowing. How can they change?
Thank you for that.
What do they have to change?
Thank you for that good question. What you have to realize is that when you're jumping into something like designing, you're not only focusing about the Africans who are in Denmark or in Europe in particular. You're looking at the broader market. Because when you do something good, so many people are going to embrace it. There was a video when we were talking here that was being played in the background. It was for the West Africans drumming. From the drums, you can tell that the West Africans have captured the EU market. That when you talk about what we call the contemporary African music, people always refer to you to what is called the Ghanaian, the music which they play, which to me is not culture. That's not culture, but it's contemporary music. It is music that can be, anyone can just chip in, and when you can play an instrument, you just chip in and you start learning. Whereby, if you look at, for example, music like Vaksimba, you cannot come from the street and play Vaksimba. You could be a professional musician, but you cannot just chip in and play the xylophone and play Amadinda in the Ugandan context, because our music is culture. Besides being the fact that you are a musician, you have to go through our culture values in order to learn our music. And that goes with the music as well. So what am I saying? That if you do something good and people really love it, then the market is going to be open. Now, there was a musician, I told you, this lady, Alwalia, she's a Alwalia is a half Nigerian, half Indian. You see what she did when she came up with when she won the H&M prestigious award. It was H&M that bought her piece. And when you look at H&M, is it only Africans who are wearing it?
No.
No, each and every one. You know, you go there, all you find is a nice cloth. You don't even know who designed it. You don't even know where it came from. You don't even know the background behind it, as long as they can say it fits the market. So our biggest goal should be that when we work with these designers, they should have to listen and listen, for example, to us who have been in the industry and say, what do we need? What is marketable on the European context? What is marketable on the global? You don't have to focus on the Africans and Ugandans who are living here when you're thinking about the Gomes, but look at the broader picture, look at the wider picture and say, you know, when I'm designing a Gomes, when someone is saying that Gomes is based on the winter season, what does it mean? Don't look at the negative side and start attacking me. Try to listen and analyze on a wider perspective. And then realize that actually there is something there we can do. Because if you just remain with the African context and you go into the defensive mode and start attacking instead of listening, then we're not going to move. Because what this lady, what she did, she captured the Nigerian and captured the Indian and came up with a piece that has been bought into H&M. And now H&M, you could even get the chance for people like Dio buying your item, because that's what we are looking at. How do we penetrate into the bigger market? How do we become part of this bigger bread? How do we get a portion of this bigger bread? That's our goal is in this industry.
So what you mean, Mr. Kalyango, the market is here?
The market is there.
And the market is not only for Africans. So if a designer is out there.
For example, my partner, Nimatu, in the era of investing into this, we have been through a lot in terms of losses, but we are still standing. Me and her in most cases, because what I'm telling you that always the road towards the bigger market is always hard. So you don't think that you are going to bring the market today, the design today, tomorrow, and expect people, you know, clapping and saying, yeah, there will be a lot of failures. But the best among us is the one who fails and wakes up again and keeps moving. Because if someone has to come in and tell you that, you know, I've realized this dream here, it has been there for so many years. Today, I'm chipping in this and that in order to improve you to this level. That's where money is. That's exactly where money is. So these designers who wants to work with us, they will not benefit, they will not expect, you know, gains right away, but they have to expect that it's going to be an investment that is going to take time. But as we said in the beginning, when you asked me to introduce myself, I said that normally when the sun shines, it's not the sun that benefits from the sunshine, but rather the plants. The plants benefit from the sun in order to germinate. And then I said that when the tree grows and it brings a shade, it's not the tree that is benefiting from the shade, but rather everything that is beneath it. That's what benefits from the shade. So sometimes in Africa, we tend to fear to start up something because we so fear the long line, the process that is going to take, not knowing that I may not be the beneficiary, but someone else could come and benefit out of this. And that's what we are fearing as Africans. Tutya nnyo okutandika ekintu nga tusobola okutandika ne losses. But losses are part of this growth.
Thank you, Mr. Kalyango. Actually, you've put up a very wide picture, and I know someone who is watching out there, like a designer, already knows what to do, because designers and fashionistas, the art is born. So I would want to take you to a question about location. When you are starting your introduction, there's a where you asked, where you said that you've had problems with the location. And I want to ask you, do you have plans of taking this fashion event to other different countries, hosting it? like you are a member of Eurocrane team. Those gentlemen out there, they're having their tournaments across Europe last year. I think they had it in Norway last year. It was in Denmark. This year it's going to be in Sweden. So as the fashion in the fashion industry, where you're also a part of it, do you have plans of trying to go around with this this fashion and design event, so we can out showcase it to other people, and not, it doesn't only stay in Denmark, but it can come to Sweden, it can come to Finland, it can go around Europe probably, or even away from there. Do you have plans of trying to take it to other countries, or it's still hard?
Thank you. I think that's a very easy question. As you can hear, I said in the beginning, as I was starting, some of the people that I'm working with already, a lady from Togo, a lady from Nigeria, a lady from Elfenbein Coast, Ivory Coast, a lady, then there was a guy from, I'm working with West Africans, because these are people who know when it comes to fashion, what it means. And my goal, of course, is that we're going to visit different countries, but we need to have a base. Where did the African fashion show started from? That is what the base has always been Denmark. But in future, we are hoping to walk around the world and try to make it on a broader market. As you could see, some of the designers, I didn't even know them. They contacted me through Nimatu, because she's a West African lady and she's a French-speaking lady. So it was rather easier for them contacting her. I would not afford all these models who came. These were professional models, as you could see most of them. And these were professional models. So yeah, the question is, to answer the question short, we are planning to move around, but I had not come in contact with people who are willing to work, as I said. Just to pull up something like that, it took me 6 months just, planning it, finding the sponsors, and finding the right people to work with. It's a lot of work. And sometimes you don't find Ugandans who are willing to invest in time. When you talk to them, the first thing they will ask you, how much are you paying me? So if someone is willing to work and, knows that it takes time in order to get the gains, of course, then we are willing, we can work. We can share our ideas with them. And that is the goal, to find people who are willing to invest time and money, of course.
All right, Smuggy, Mr. Smuggy, you've heard it from the horse's mouth. That they're also bringing it in Sweden, and probably I think I'll be on the high table. I'll be on the walkway. I'll be
It'll be a pleasure having you.
Yeah, because it's really good. So,
also, you want to be on the, okay, we'll go ahead. Yeah,
I want to embrace what is going on. Since I cannot play football, then why don't I take on now? Why don't I take on the fashion?
Yeah, I love that vigor, actually.
And the other thing I may chip on that, I think we also need to change the narrative that a model has to be someone who is skinny, tall, and this. When we are talking about the African culture, I mean, we Africans are always known for our big bums. We are known for our massive body. I will tell you one thing. Personally, I've never been in a Ugandan event where people identify me as a Ugandan because they say you don't look Ugandan. I'm like, excuse me, you are big. I'm like, so Ugandans, we come in different shapes and colors and height. But anyway, to get back to Mr. Smoking, modeling has to change. Modeling has to change. They have the right to look different. We don't have to have models who are like skinny. They don't eat.
Yeah, you're right.
Bali colors zonna, balina weight zonna, balina,
Yeah, because Ugandans, we are known for flesh. We are known for having flesh. So I can be a model probably, and maybe I can also be a host. Anyway.
Abalenzi bonna betulina bonna baali bava Ghana, walimu omunaggana omu, mwalimu Abafalansa okuva Senegal n'abalala, nga tewuli Munnayuganda n'omu. you know. So
Actually,
where
to
are
our
you
viewers,
then?
yeah, to our viewers in Norway, in Finland, in Belgium, in all over Europe, as Mr. Kalanga said, they are coming to you. They are coming to us, so you can see where you chip in. You can see how you can help. And as I've heard, Smoggy was the host for the show. Smoggy,
Which
what
one? This one here?
Yeah, that's what you said at the beginning, that you were
No,
the
actually,
host.
I was
Yeah, the MC. No, the MC, sorry.
for another function. That function was the Uganda Matters. But this one here, I wasn't. I just came to support a brother because Mr. Musa is the one who, with his team, they organized this one here. But like, you know, any community leader or anyone who's supposed to be in the system, you know, no one is going to help us to be who we are until we also contribute. I was talking to Mr. Kalyango yesterday, and I told him that this society, we Afropins, who have to be part of the communities we're in, because let's look at these communities like a system, or look at a car. Look at the car. A car without a steering, it cannot go. Without maybe the wheels, it may fail to go, or the engine. So be maybe part of the system. Let me be the battery, maybe, in that system. It comes back now to the society. So we have to contribute to these societies we're in. So by being the MC on the other side, I felt I should be also part of Mr. Kalyango's function by supporting. So the more we do that, it's the only way we can, showcase our African existence to our, the people who hosted us to be in their countries. There was a question actually, which has been asked by Abu from the other previous, where I was asking, how can we transform our tradition fashion into the modernity? Mr. Abu Matovu from Norway, my simple question, for us, we may not do that much, but let's leave that work to the designers. We have very many designers. They are seeing how best we can do this. But also, let's accept that technology has come and it's improving everything. Better prints are coming out. Technology actually has done wonders. That's why you see people now fusing in different designs. He has gone ahead by asking that, what are some of the popular African clothing styles? The styles, yes, they will depend on a culture or different countries. Different countries have different outfits in Africa, but they've tried. Some of them have tried to embrace, to go into the contemporary part of it. Others have maintained the originality, even though it's still there's some improvement. Let's look at the kite. They call the kente from Ghana. It's an outfit which is very special in Ghana, which can be also sold out somewhere else, to other countries maybe. Let's look at the asoke from Nigeria. It's also very good. In Uganda, mostly, specifically Buganda, we have the kanzu, and kanzu also actually is not only Buganda, but I think it was embraced to be a formal Ugandan outfit.
Yeah.
Official.
Yeah.
It is.
Kanzu. So in Buganda, then we have the Gomesi, which also has been embraced with other tribes. So away from that, you see we have the Mushenene. Also, we can pick that one from Rwanda, Burundi, and part of Uganda. Go to Congo. In Congo, there is what we call, Liputa. Yeah. Away from the Liputa is from Congo. It's also something you can pick. So, Mr. Abu, when you're asking about the popular African clothing outfits, they depend on the known outfits on the regions and how the designers are transforming them a little bit. You go to Bryant in Uganda. He has the way he has transformed some African outfits and trying to create that contemporary. When you reach to Ethiopia, Ethiopia has got what we call, Habisha.
Yeah, Habisha.
Mhm.
It's really so nice. That one you can also take it somewhere. Let's go to the north of Africa. The outfits, when we're talking about actually summer, when you look at their material, because of the weather in the north of Africa, trust me, the outfits can easily come to Europe in summertime.
Even in the South Africa, the fashion in South Africa.
True. They have this, they call, is it Jihaba and Kafata, is it? Kaftan.
Yeah. Kaftan, yeah. The kaftans.
Yeah, that one, it's basically in the north part of it, Egypt, when you go to Morocco, Tunisia,
the North Africa.
they're really embracing that. But when you see that it's a unisex outfit, which can be used by the Arab kind of line, but also we can embrace it here too. For example, we have friends here who are Arabs. Whenever we are going to their functions, we go to their stores, then you find if you can pick that one to at least to celebrate with them and then try to reflect what they mean. Let's go to Masai. Mr. Kalyango talked about them, the soccer. That one is also good to summer because, you know, part of it.
And and the Busuti, you know, the Busuti for the Batoros.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. That is also
for the men, it's just a karapa. In the summer, African boys, Ugandan boys have nice bodies. You just put on a karapa and you go on the streets.
And then you talked about South Africa. They have what we call, is it Ishiwambwa, something like that. It's a Zulu outfit, but all in all, we people in the diaspora, what we really need sometimes, not to kill our originality. I won't blow my own trumpet. I'm trying to have something African, a little bit contemporary. I'll put it in the line of what we call the dashiki. Dashiki is mostly this outfit, which is mostly people from the diaspora. They try to simplify it to reflect where they come from. And mostly sometimes the ladies put it on and with the jean pants, and then they put on that shiki. But I mean, there are very many. So to go back to Mr. Abu Matovu's question, I won't tell you specifically it's this or this, but all cultures have got their own, depending where they come from. But let's give it all to the West Africans who have, trust me, believed in themselves so much. They have their confidence.
Yes.
Too much. They've not just taken, they have not just taken their roots for granted. At least they've tried to improve and do something better. For some reason, that's why maybe at times we are becoming so much copycats to them, which is not really good. We should learn to also embrace our own, use it a little bit. Back to you, madam.
Yeah, thank you very much.
May I say something?
Please.
Oh, Mr. Kalyango, you can say something.
On the matters of copying, being so good at copying, you know, one thing I've liked about the West Africans, for example, if you meet a Nigerian, when they open their mouth, the first thing you're going to realize, these are Nigerians.
Yes, the accent.
Oh, yeah.
The accent. And until we, the East and Central Africa, mostly Ugandans, until we stop, you know, looking down at the accent and realize the fact that these people are holding on to their culture, we're not going to prosper. Now, the other thing I also want to tell you, if you look at India, for example, India was colonized by the very British that colonized Africans. But what did Indians do? They never gave up their accent. And for that matter, they still embrace their culture to this date, that the Indian will walk there in the street and then you'll just spot him on the street right away. I know that this is an Indian by the way they dress, and when he opens his mouth, you'll tell that this is an Indian speaking. Whereby, what do we do in Uganda? We are praising ourselves for being the most eloquent people. We speak so good English. what have that done with us? We've sold our culture. Because today, if you go in many people's houses, you want to find anything, identifying them like an African besides the suits, you know? So we need to go back the roots and find ourselves what happened and how did it go wrong. You know, we can't even speak Swahili. We can't even, like the West Africans do speak Pidgin. Because what unites the West Africans, West Africans, the Pidgin language. They speak that broken English. But you know, in Africa, we don't even, I don't even think a Ugandan will even take time to listen to it. Oh, it doesn't sound good, you know. We kind of then we think that's, you know, we are being very African. And when you look at the Nigerian, when you go to the when you look at them, these are the most highly qualified people in all areas, but they still hold on to their culture. The same applies to Indians. They may speak very broken English, they may speak with a very hard accent, what and so on, but they are engineers and everything. You know, you don't have to leave everything. You don't have to spoil everything. You don't have to give up everything in order to be someone. We don't need to copy each and everything. Let's try to embrace ourselves for who we are as Africans.
Actually, to add a little bit about that, I have this saying that before you learn or embrace any other person's culture, learn to first identify yours, know your own, and then you learn, it will be easier for you to learn other people's culture. And then even those people, they respect you more, or they will be even attracted to know the uniqueness in you. Why are you special in that way? But the more you want to be like them, the more you're killing who you are, yet you cannot perfect what they are. That's why I was giving it now to the West Africans, not only Nigeria. For me, I'll take it to West Africans mostly. They've really not taken their roots for granted. You go to Senegal, they have that, is it Bubo outfit? It's really good. When you go to Ghana, they are doing something good. The Yorubas are really maintaining their own. The Igbo are doing something very good. So all in all, Mr. Kaliago, look at when we go to OAU, or when our African leaders go to the summits in the UK or US, you've seen some of their presidents when they're having their African outfits. Let's go back to the former president of Zaire, Mobutu, how we used to embrace the African element outfit. For me, I feel we should not kill what we are. We should be who we are. And then there's no even formal way of saying that this is the real outfit for this. The suits, they are good for these people. But for us also, we have our own we can use depending on the function, or, I mean, different kitenges are there. You can design them to reflect a certain function. You can put on outfits which are really formal, and those which are you get it. So all in all, I believe that we just need to embrace our own, explore more, and then where need be, let's sell it to others, and then also they know who we are. That's my little submission. Back to you, Madam Jojo.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the submission. You gentlemen, you've really put a very bright light. It's a very bright touch into what we've forgotten. We have Madame Rizik. She says, I'm a proud Gomez wearer. So I think she puts on Gomez's for occasions everywhere. She's from Norway. So, and I think I'm going to start being an ambassador of Gomez's here probably. But thank you very much for the, you guys, you are really pinning me up. I would say that I'm talking for the many out there, East Africans who try to hide our originality, because we were given an accent, thank God. And when we learn English, probably we were given an accent, we were colonized by British, and we moved to the European countries where we speak good English. So when we reach here, we forget, we try to change, but still, the best thing they have, actually the best thing we can sell to these people is to be us. I've seen that once you tell them you're from African, they will have to ask you different questions. What's your favorite food? How do you cook your food? Like they go into into so many questions until we learn that we will always be Africans. And that can happen. But thank you very much. To our viewers, we are closing the show. It's been a very informative show. I thank you very much, the team that put up the event we've been talking about here. Thank you very much for embracing our culture, our design, and fashion is so wide. So I know so many people still have questions today, but it's fashion, it's design, it's a very big thing. And when you talk about culture, it is a wider topic. Smoggy,
yeah,
we are challenged by the Danish people, the Afro-Danish, that side. You people are coming up with so many things that really help you to stay together amidst everything. I'm not talking about Ugandans, I'm talking about the whole African fraternity. If now Mr. Kalyango is having a very big thing that brings together different countries, then you have the Euro tournament. You guys, I'm proud of you. I have to say that. So
for sure, when you come about with a few Africans here in Denmark, and not only Ugandan, but you see Mr. Kalyango now was on a team of a West African. But if I ask him properly, he will tell you that the sound and the music was from the Kenyan Boda Boda man, if I'm not mistaken. Or the technician was from Kenya. So it's a fusion of how can I help one so that we can, move the system ahead. But all in all,
I think I should bring you, gentlemen, once again for another show here on Euroforum, and probably we can talk about, you can talk about how we can be as, instead of away from fashion, away from entertainment. I think we're losing a lot of teamwork. We are losing ourselves. We are divided into so many things that it's even one of the factors why we are hiding away from who we are. I think that's another topic. But thank you very much. Our viewers, we are so humbled to have you today. Please keep sharing, keep liking for more of the good contents. We have many hosts. We're gonna bring you a lot of guests that will share with us and teach us and educate us, just like Mr. Kalyango said. Before I go, I would like Mr. Kalyango to give in your submission, and Mr. Smoggy will close the show. But thank you very much. But first, wait. By the way, before we close, I want to pass on our condolences as the Euroforum UG Forum to the Ugandan community, Sweden. We've lost one Mr. Sentongo, lost a wife, Mrs. Aida Sentongo, and the vigil is going on. Anyone around Stockholm, please, you can pass by and say a few words. He really needs us right now. It's a trying moment to lose a partner, the family. So we are, it's a pity. But on our Facebook, the Ugandan Community Sweden, the Facebook, there's a link where you can link in for those people who are far away, but Ugandans, you can go into the link and join the WhatsApp. We have a vigil on WhatsApp. Then there will be financial contributions. Still, you can find all the information on the link, and those people around Stockholm, you can go there. So they've took away someone very important from the society. Other than that, Mr. Kalyango, can you give us submission as we close?
Yes, Michala Nassari, thank you for having you. And Mwami Smoggy, thank you so very much for allowing me to be part of this great job here as you're doing. First and foremost, I will send my condolences to the brother in Sweden who has lost the dear wife. And on that note, I'll also send my condolences to the music, art, and dance drama industry in Uganda for losing such a big icon, Omulongo Kato Ruwama. I think within some few days.
Wednesday, actually.
On Wednesday, yeah. Yeah, naye nga tumusaba ebyamuyitako mu butana Katonda abenga amusonyiwa biri wakati we n'omutonzi we naye nga ffenna nga bannakatemba abanyumira katemba n'ebyamasanyu mu Uganda twafiiriddwako omuntu w'amaanyi ennyo. On that note, I'll thank you everyone for hosting me, and our viewers, thank you for switching in. Bye for now. See you then.
But before you say bye for now, can you run us through the Euroforum football tournament?
Actually, thank you very much.
Because you're on the team which is taking the Uganda, Crane, Denmark. So can you just run us through how it's going to happen, or just a reminder, or call upon people too?
Yeah, we are coming on Thursday. That will be the 29th. Yes, on 29th. And the hotel is already booked. So whoever needs accommodation. And in terms of transportation, some are driving, some have already taken bought tickets. And yeah, I'll also just want to say that this time around, we are really planning to have we are going to take it down. So you guys get prepared knowing that we are going to hit you in all corners.
No.
Last time you were so happy. You had the referees, much as they were because they mistook everything and they thought you were Denmark. So they were, everything was in your favor. And
you know the history of Sweden. Who are the Vikings? Who are the main?
But we are the very Vikings.
We shall still lead.
No, the Viking originates from Denmark. That's why Denmark was taking over all over up to England. Yeah. That's the history of the Vikings. If you want to go there.
We are coming well prepared for you guys this time around.
I mean, Mr. Kalyango,
yeah.
The thing is, most times the hosts are very busy planning for you. So the problem was we are busy planning and these people were only coming to play football. So This time around, we are not hosting. Just know we're coming for the trophy.
We are coming for the trophy, and that's the only thing. Every preparation is just towards taking the trophy back home.
So true.
We're looking forward to that.
I can assure we are not shaken. We shall still beat you.
Yes, in my last remark, yes, first of all, I would love to say thank you very much, our host, Lady Joreen Nassali. You're really doing some good work. But away from that, I also would love to send my condolences to our colleague or our partner here at Euroforum, who she's a host. Times she comes in as a guest, Lady Samantha. It's really so sad sometimes the person you know to become one you knew. She lost a brother, the one they shot in UCU. The student who was shot was a brother, basically a relative to her. So for some reason, that's why we thought she could be part of the team today to talk about this, but then she couldn't make it. So our condolence to Lady Samantha. May the soul of your relative really rest in eternal peace. But back to the theme, our host. In a nutshell, I'll just say African fashion, wear and design is just so rich. Digesting it all is not even easy right now. We're just playing on the tips of it. Otherwise, we are very rich in fashion, designs, because it can be reflected by even the different designers we're having. And the fact that we're having designers of different cultures. We have the designers who are Afro-Arabs in the north, designers of West Africa, designers South African, the central of Africa. Trust me, we are rich when it comes to fashion and design. And the major core issue about African fashion is mostly the colors that are reflected. And these colors, actually, they're not by chance. These colors also have meaning. For example, the gold element, it shows the status. You know, people who tend to put on the gold kind of color on the fabrics, it's those rich people, you know, it shows some bit of status. Then we have the yellow, which reflects, you know, fertility. We have the green, it shows, you know, renewal or life. Like the way you see Mr. Kalyango said is working in the medic line of it. He knows why green is there in hospitals. So green for the African fabric reflects life. And you know, green is Africa. I mean, we have this green. So we should also look into the red is passion and then also kind of danger. Sometimes you know what, when red comes, it's a general thing. There's some bit of danger. It really sends a message that, hey, in Denmark, we say passport, be careful. But away from that, the black comes in as to show our, you know, union with our ancestor, when you see kind of the black element. So it was all the way, the message our designers way back they had when they're trying to reflect the colors. Though by the time as it has come in, contemporary designs have really come in, and contemporary designers have fused in a lot of things to the element that African fashion is so rich. It's a topic not easy to digest. In the interest of time, allow me to say thank you all those people who have been on different platforms, like Facebook, YouTube, those also on WhatsApp. I've been also running through your comments. They're really doing good. And then those on TikTok. Mr. Kalyango, please, can, on behalf of my colleagues, we shall be hosting you for different topics because we see you're very rich and resourceful. So on this note, allow me to take the microphone, if it was possible to be visible, maybe by virtue of Bluetooth, back to the hosts to give us maybe a prayer, just in case she's prayer, sir. And we call it lock.
Okay.
Not forgetting.
I will not give a prayer because I would want to give a dua.
But before you give a dua,
no, all in all, I want
the
to
person
say,
who has been doing
I
that.
want to say, all in all, I want to say, oh yeah, USS,
yeah.
Uganda, Ukraine, Sweden, we're gonna beat you guys. We're gonna beat you.
Is that how you're closing it up?
I'm closing it. I'm preparing my viewers. Yeah, preparing my viewers for the next show. But thank you very much, our viewers. We are so humbled. Yeah, our viewers, we are so humbled. Follow us on our Facebook, on our YouTube, comment, interact, and otherwise, actually, we even have a WhatsApp group. If you feel like you want to be part of that team where we meet, share ideas, and like it's a community we are building out there on the WhatsApp. Please go on our messenger, put in your submission, ask the administration, they'll add you to our WhatsApp group. Thank you very much, Mr. Kalyango. We are so humbled. We like fathers, mentors we look up to because we have a young generation coming up. I feel you, Otuzade, we looking at you in you're busy. There is a lot around you, but you still take extra mile to do what you feel like it will add value to the society, African society, and still your passion. Someone out there will also pick a leaf to do exactly what you do. As I said, awakulenume tewakulem. So thank you very much. Smogi, you are my icon in the entertainment industry in Europe. Thank you very much for doing what you're doing. You have a very busy schedule, but you've never left. I talk to you most of the time, but you're always there when they need you. It's not because you don't have anything to do, but you feel you can serve. Thank you for serving us. Thank you very much. Our team behind Mr. Moses Mugisha, thank you for entrusting us. We love you and thank you for giving us this opportunity. The technical person, thank you very much. Let's meet again next Sunday, and the people in Stockholm, let's meet on 29th. I'm gonna be there.
No. Stop.
That's my show.